tensions, Pedro Castillo resorts to presidential powers.
Ante los hechos de violencia.
Due to the violent acts of certain groups blocking roads, the cabinet has agreed to declare a ban on the mobility of citizens in Lima on Tuesday, April the 5th, to protect the fundamental rights of all people.
Demonstrators have been taking to the streets across Peru, at times clashing with police, while lorry and bus drivers have brought traffic to a halt, like here on the Pan American Highway, where toll booths have been vandalized.
Refinance your mortgage every time you go to the grocery store lately. Am I right? The prices at the grocery stores lately are bananas. Not about just bananas, by the way. But what you may not know is that a lot of this tracks back to Russia's unprovoked attack on Ukraine. Listen up, because the problem could get worse. Ukraine is nicknamed the breadbasket of Europe because the country produces about 10% of the world's wheat and 14% of its corn and half of its sunflower oil. So Russia and Ukraine together typically export more than 25% of the world's wheat. So between the war and the sanctions, food prices have spiked. And some experts are sounding the alarm about a global food shortage and increase in world hunger that could impact our own kitchen tables right here at home. I want to talk about this with...
Welcome back to WWTA News, what we talk about news. And of course, we've got news to talk about. So, yeah, before we get started, hey man, you can hit that like button so we can get this video out there to everybody else. And if you have family, friends, and loved ones that you think should see and hear this stuff, you can share it with them as well. Now, with all of that being said, let's get into this wonderful information. All right, we're going to start off with that first article. It's from Share Crypto. It says there's a market crash coming. Interesting. The guy from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? He says there is definitely a market crash coming. He says Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, and gold are a potential way out of the market crash. That's very interesting that he would say that. And so I'll share my thoughts. That's why I shared that piece, so I can share my thoughts, right? Obviously, he's going to share his thoughts. So, if the United States dollar loses its position, as these other nations are really trying to make it happen, as it loses its position, then everything in that's adjusted and controlled through the dollar itself is going to lose its value, right? So when we talk about the stock market, and this is interesting, when you talk about the stock market, you send dollars in one way, and then when you want to retrieve out of the stock market, you retrieve out in dollars. So if the dollars fail, well, then the stock market has to fail, which then means that you can't bring any dollars out of that market, right? So it's very interesting, you know, when we talk about a market crash coming, to potential and the possibilities of all the things that would be attached to the United States dollar falling. It's like limitless. Everything you can think of that's attached to that dollar would have to crumble with it if it loses its position as the dominant currency that's used across the world, right? So interesting, Mr. Kiyosaki, right? Yeah. All right. We got an article here that says the red hot housing market is showing its first signs of cooling. Redfin says. Oh, Redfin. What do you know, Redfin? There's no doubt about it. The United States housing market continues to run hot. Home shoppers are engaging in bidding wars at the highest clip ever recorded. Inventory remains 48% below pre-pandemic levels, and the annual rate of home price appreciation is 19.2%, is just shy of the record set last summer. That said, the United States housing market may finally be showing signs of cooling. At least that's according to Redfin. I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding how there's no inventory, right? So so I'll say this: in the field of construction, contractors are still putting up homes. All right. Yes, there was a slow on home building for a while because of getting their hands on lumber and other supplies that are needed to build homes. So there was a slowdown. But nonetheless, homes are still going up by night. Okay? They're just going up. So, if you're buying a home, I don't know what they mean by, no inventory. That's just confusing to me. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you're waiting on your house to be built, these neighborhoods are flying up left and right. It's unbelievable how fast new neighborhoods go up. Okay, it's really. I mean, inventory's low. Really, that's just confusing to me. You know what I'm saying? Being in the construction business and seeing homes every year being built, communities being built. For the last 4 to 5 years. I've been watching that stuff, and it's like, really? I mean, there was a little slowdown, from that. Couldn't get your hands on lumber and materials, right? But then that turned back around, and people's houses were getting completed, So I don't know about that one, and it could be more that I'm missing, But working in the construction field and seeing those things, it's like, from my personal view, I don't really know what you mean. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what you mean. I'm still looking at neighborhoods where homes are still going up. Now, the homes, some neighborhoods, aren't ready. They're just now having their streets laid down. And so I could possibly see that, but like, I guess it would depend on where you are. Right, where you are in the United States would probably be the determining factor if there's an inventory. So commonly in city areas and areas like that and around the cities, you're going to commonly find a lot of people, and you're going to find a lot of homes. And remember that in certain areas in the United States, home prices were so high that it was so ridiculous that people couldn't afford them, so they were leaving. Like, you look at what happened in California. A lot of people were leaving California, in San Francisco, and people are leaving New York because the cost is so high. So, is there really a lack of inventory, or is it inflation? If you ask me, I'm going to keep going to inflation, and I'm going to keep saying the dollar's been inflated for so long. People got comfortable with it, and then you're really seeing how ugly the inflation is, and I don't even think we're seeing the true identity of what the real inflation looks like. I've got my ideas. I don't think we've seen it yet, but I think they're manipulating the situation, maybe, so we don't feel the extreme severity. Food shortages, fuel shortages. If you think about it, well, we're not going to do all that. We're just going to get through this article because, it'd be a long video if I just babbled all the way on through this stuff. Let's get through this article. Fewer people are starting online home searches and applying for mortgages than this time last year. And year-to-date growth in home tours remains far below 2021 levels. I just find that hard to believe. Being out there looking for a home, homes come on the market. They're on the market depending on the home and the price. If it's a good price and it's a pretty decent area, they might stay on the market for 5 to 10 days, and then they're gone. They're in pending, going through the process of being sold. So my opinion, this is what I think. I think the banks, after they were made liquid through the Fed, when the Fed bought up those contracts, I think what happened was the banks were like, okay, well, now we've got to be able to pay those loans back to get those contracts back from the Fed. So I think they're in a scramble, and they're giving loans to any and everybody that's looking to get a loan. And so with that being the case, I think a lot of people are getting into homes and vehicles and these personal loans, and they probably can't afford them. And so this is where people talk about that 08 home crisis, right? I think that the banks are literally just giving anybody a loan just to get those loans in the books. You see what I'm saying? Not that people are going to be able to keep up with them and keep these things, but I think literally that's all it is. So if you're giving everybody loans, right? So every time a house comes on the market, well, the bank's giving me a loan, and so whether you can afford it or not, you know, that's a different story. But the bank's going to give me a loan for it, so boom, I go buy the house. You know what I'm saying? And I might have it for the first 2 months, my payments are good and everything is fine, and then I start learning about a real struggle, you know, going without to make sure that mortgage is paid and so on and so forth. So without understanding money management, you can see how that could be a problem. But I really think that's all that's happening. The banks are just literally giving everybody that wants a loan so they can get them in the books. But let's continue with the article. An increasing share of sellers are also reducing their prices after putting their homes on the market, wrote Redfin researchers in a report published on Thursday. The market still feels hot, but a slowdown in online searches, home tours, and mortgage applications suggests more buyers are getting priced out. That's relevant. That's relevant. That's important because, yes, I can clearly see that being one who's looking in the home market. I can see that clearly that's what's happening. Like, I don't want to pay that much. That's crazy. All right, so, you know, reduce them prices. All right, let's see, what else do we have? All right, so look, we're gonna close it out right there. You know, a lot of things is going on right now. You know, again, we've got the food shortages, quote unquote. We've got the fuel crisis, quote unquote. If you ask me, I'm going to tell you it's been going on for years. It's poor trade deals. A lot of trade deals have come to an end. And it's not like this is created information. This is all information that we've been listening to in the news for months and years. So that's nothing new. I would say this is just, we're getting to a point where the dollar might actually lose its position and fall, and it's going to cause a lot of strife and problems here in the United States. So again, I'm gonna close with this. You know, it might be time to start thinking of how you're going to proceed in the future if for some reason the dollar loses its value. What are you going to do? All right, hope you liked the video. If you did, you can hit that like button. Don't forget to share this video with friends and family that you think might be interested in this information. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.